And we are now joined via Skype by Chad Adams. He's the host of the Chad Adams Show and the Big Talker FM across the state and our go-to guy for when it comes to North Carolina politics. So Chad, let's get things started off. I wanted to ask you your just thoughts on the decision that came down from the Board of Elections to give this race a do-over.
Well, the good news is it's a unanimous decision. The bad news is we still don't have all the answers as to what went wrong, how many votes were affected, but we do know the board threw out 240,000 plus votes in this entire election. And so now we're going to have not a redo, it's an entirely new election. There'll be a primary, people have to sign up. And the destruction, I mean, the personal, you saw that in your video earlier with Mark Harris. I mean, his son testifying in it against him in some ways, turning his family, the Democrats bringing in Mark Elias, a very high-powered attorney, the GOP kind of not knowing what to do in the beginning of this. This was high drama in North Carolina politics.
Very much so. And let me ask you this. You mentioned the 200,000 votes, and you mentioned the redo. That came through from the state legislature. They went through in December to make it so a primary would have to take place, and your whole nuts and bolts with an election should happen here. But let's talk about Mark Harris now. The issues he brought up were significant about his health, and that really driving a force from when he himself said to the board, I think there is a good chance you should call a new election in this. Do you think this new election will involve Mark Harris?
I do not. I mean, I cannot fathom. I got a chance to talk with Mark's family in January. I was at an event in Cumberland County. His wife spoke at that event. Mark's health it took a serious turn in January. It wasn't just an infection. There were multiple health issues that hampered him. And a lot of it brought about by the stress of what happened, the accusations against him. And it's just a shame that it became so deeply personal and so vindictive and so partisan and so political. And this, by the way, this seat will not make a difference as to whether Nancy Pelosi is Speaker or not, but the Democrats realized at the national level, at least, this was important to them. They brought in Mark Elias. The Republicans never brought in a high-powered attorney or anything. And by the way, we never got to hear Mark Harris's team put together their side of the story at all. It was one side, Mark Harris folded up, and then the Board of Elections decided unanimously to move forward.
Indeed, there was a lot of prosecution in this without a whole lot of defense. You can make that argument clear. Let me ask you this to finish up. The idea of politics in this state in general, red or blue, what we saw out of this election, what took place, the evidence of the absentee ballot scheme. Let me get your take on where that should take us now as a state.
I think it's fascinating that we tried to assert, or at least the political left tried to assert, there's no photo fraud with respect to photo ID. Now we have it in the absentee ballot situation. And we've had it, by the way, for a decade. I mean, this is not the first time mccrae-dowless has been questioned. And he actually got elected to the Soil and Water Conservation District in Bladen-County. So I don't know what they're going to do to move forward, but it's interesting that it wasn't too much of a problem in 10, 12, 14, 16. And now with the Mark Harris race, it became a cause célèbre. So they're going to have to figure out a way to deal with the absentee ballot situation moving forward.
I think wrapped up about an hour.
Chad Adams with the Chad Adams Show, the Big Talker. Thank you so much for joining us on here, Chad. Thank you so much.
Thank you.